The announcement trailer for Eevee Grove just dropped, and the entire Pokemon Pocket community is abuzz with the brand new cards we are seeing from it. Following in the theme of mini-sets so far, Eevee Grove is centered around its namesake, Eevee, with nearly all of the cards revealed thus far being directly related to Eevee. My big takeaway is that this set demonstrates DNA is cooking in the Pokemon Card Lab, and Eevee Grove is shaping up to be a phenomenal set and phenomenal card design overall. In this video, I'll be covering card design and why I think Eevee Grove is the pinnacle of it so far, and perhaps one of the best designed sets we've seen. I will also be discussing how this game can continue to promote these diverse strategies, and what I expect to see moving forward. If you like this content, please do like and subscribe to keep the channel going. Before we get into the specifics of Eevee Grove, I want to cover the three main pillars of deck building. These are power, consistency, and speed. Power is how much damage the deck's combos can output. Consistency is how easily available the combo the deck is looking to execute is, and speed is how quickly the deck is able to execute its main combo. Every deck in the game is formulated around these three pillars, often focusing on maximizing two of these to the detriment of the other. The uniqueness and replayability of the game is derived from how players look to maximize a combination of power, consistency, and speed, and with limited deck space, what they are looking to sacrifice to win. For example, if we look at the very earliest format of Genetic Apex, the core three decks in the meta were Mewtwo EX, Charizard EX, and Pikachu EX. Charizard EX was the pinnacle of power with still the highest damage non-conditional attack in the game at 200, able to one-shot every single card in the game to this day. Pikachu EX was the pinnacle of speed at the time, with the ability to hit for 90 damage on your second energy attachment. Mewtwo is probably the best deck at the time, because it was second in power to Charizard, but also had decent enough speed compared to it, which put it over the top in many cases. However, among these decks lurked a villain that was reviled among the community, as it tried to, and often successfully, maximized all three pillars. 18 Trainer Articuno was at times faster than Pikachu, and more powerful than Charizard or Mewtwo, with the highest level of consistency in the game at the time. This was mainly due to Misty allowing Articuno to attack turn 1 and win the game on the spot. The Misty hate was extreme, and it stems from the fact that it breaks the balance of adjusting the three pillars of power, consistency, and speed. By maximizing all three, it significantly hurts competition and centralizes deck building around it. This was seen again in another reviled deck list, Darkrai Giratina. This deck came to fruition in Shining Revelry and took 18 Trainer Articuno to the next level. It was, and still is to this day, insanely strong and the most common deck to see on the ranked ladder. It is as fast or faster than Pikachu EX with the damage of Mewtwo EX and the consistency of Articuno EX. It is no surprise that either you are playing Darkrai Giratina or you are directly trying to counter it. In any card game, if there is a deck that is able to get its combos executed quickly and consistently, and those combos do extremely high amounts of damage, then the game will centralize around that deck list and get stale very quickly. Hence why the best metas so far in Pocket have been ones where there are decks maximizing at most two of these core pillars, and allowing room to breathe for other playstyles than just big basic EXs. Now you may have noticed how in the examples I gave for the Genetic Apex format, that there were really two types of Pokemon cards that were the namesakes of deck lists. Basic Pokemon like Pikachu, Mewtwo, and Articuno, and Stage 2 Pokemon like Charizard. Generally speaking, basic Pokemon are the fastest Pokemon to get up and running in nearly every meta. Their design is clearly balanced around speed, especially considering the fact that they are operational immediately upon playing them. Stage 2 Pokemon are naturally the slowest, as you have to evolve them twice by design. Therefore, representing both ends of the spectrum in speed, it is natural that they would also represent both ends of the spectrum in power. Pikachu dealt less than half of the damage of Charizard, but could attack in half the time as well. This dichotomy shows why Mewtwo was arguably the best deck of the time, as it was a basic Pokemon that had the endgame damage comparable to Charizard. It just required a Stage 2 Pokemon in Gardevoir to get it going. This concept of power versus speed is pretty consistent in the following sets as a broad rule of thumb for basic Pokemon and Stage 2 Pokemon, and these two types have made up the majority of the metagame so far, with cards like Darkrai, Arceus, and Buzzwole representing fast, basic Pokemon and metas since Genetic Apex, and cards like Magnezone, Rampardos, Solgaleo, and Steamzard representing powerful Stage 2 Pokemon in metas since Genetic Apex. It is telling how influential speed is in the game, as much of the Stage 2 Pokemon really came to fruition once Rare Candy was introduced, and Stage 2 Pokemon could get out much faster, and more consistently since it functioned as 2 more copies of a Stage 1 Pokemon. However, if the core design of basic Pokemon is their speed, and the core design of Stage 2 Pokemon is their power, what's the basic design of Stage 1 Pokemon? Stage 1 Pokemon are built around consistency. Consistent damage output is the name of the game when it comes to the very few Stage 1 Pokemon that have made a splash in the metas so far. Executor EX is the best early example of this. It hits the field on your second turn and cracks for 40 or 80 damage each turn with a high HP pool and many healing supporter cards. If you cannot take it out quickly, it will wear you down. Weavile EX is another more recent example, as it can output 110 damage very consistently with Darkrai as a supporter, or if it's already attacked as a Sneasel on your first turn. Wugtrio EX would then be probably the next most recent Stage 1 attacker, with the consistent 150 damage each turn spread among your opponent's entire field. And in the most recent release of Extradimensional Crisis, Silvally consistently outputting 100 damage and always opening with type Null every turn to keep the damage output up. However, consistency is hard to maintain in this game due to only ever being able to run 2 copies of a single card, making it less likely to draw your combo pieces, and as basic Pokemon in Stage 2s get more powerful and faster respectively, Stage 1 decks struggle to keep up. This is where Eevee Grove comes in. My first reaction to Eevee Grove was excitement at Eevee EX's ability, where it is a Pokemon EX that can evolve into any evolution, like its non-EX counterpart. That means you can run double the amount of basic Pokemon for your Stage 1 evolutions to evolve into. This is extremely helpful for evolution decks such as Leafeon EX. You can run 2 Leafeon EXs, which can ramp the new Leafeon, which you can also run 2 of, and get out all 4 because of Eevee EX's ability. This provides extreme amounts of consistency and ramping damage into the late game, as you do not care which Eevee you get, and it also makes up a quarter of your deck. This allows for quick and consistent damage, which are 2 of the core pillars. Outside of making it so you have 4 Eevees, you can also run the Stage 1 Sylveon EXs to increase your draw power through its ability Happy Ribbon, which draws 2 cards when you evolve it. There are a plethora of ways that this can help other Psychic decks, and non-Psychic decks if you're willing to run 2 different types of energies. However, this will combo well with the non-EV Pokemon teased in Swirlix, Milcery, and Alcremie, which ramps based on how many times you use Sweet's Relay, which applies to both Swirlix and Milcery. Having more deep draw will mean hitting these Psychic cards more often, and get Sweet's Overload cracking for 120 to 160 damage extremely consistently, allowing for higher amounts of consistency and power into the late game. Again, 2 of the 3 core pillars. Overall, this set shows a huge focus on leaning into consistency with Stage 1s to make them competitive, which makes sense considering it is an Eevee set, but it appears that it's not only just Eevee that benefits. There are other Stage 1s that are built around consistency. Assuming the rest of the set is designed the same, this means that we could see an extremely diverse meta with basic Pokemon decks, Stage 2 Pokemon decks, and now Stage 1 Pokemon decks floating around at the top levels of play, providing options for players who love fast gameplay, players who love powerful combos, and players who love extremely consistent battles game to game. Overall, I think this new set is shaping up to be a huge boon to the game, and shows that DNA is on the right track when it comes to card design. I cannot wait to see what else is in store for this set. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video and want to see more, check out our series on card arts from Pokemon Pocket, or our series on the history of the Pokemon TCG. Also, please do like and subscribe so we can keep putting out quality content.